welcome to your Vedic Lunar Scope. For today, the 19th of September 2015. The moon today will be in the first third of the sign of Sagittarius, as it will be transiting its way through Jyeshtha nakshatra. Sometimes we have those periods of feeling confused, lost, vulnerable. Generally, when we feel confused and when we feel lost, ultimately it's going to lead to a state of feeling vulnerable. And we curse those moments, rightly so, because we don't feel comfortable, we don't feel happy. To try to pretend that it's a joyful moment, well, that's just, being superficial and not really paying attention to what's happening. Truth of the matter is, we need those experiences of darkness so that we can understand the experiences of light. Without the concept of darkness, there would be no light, because there'd be no opposite from which to compare it to. So duality is just a natural part of our existence, and it provides the necessary contrast for the picture of time and space, which we ultimately use to work out our experience of consciousness. And without that particular concept, well, we wouldn't have the ups and downs from which we can learn. We wouldn't have those things which bring us closer to a state of wholeness. Then there are those rare moments when everything just seems to come together and makes perfect sense. Quite often it happens after one of those other moments where everything was just ultimately very confusing, right? It only makes sense. It's like the age-old saying that the darkest moment is just before the dawn, and it's really true. Well, today there's the potential that you can have one of those crystal clear moments. And from that moment of crystal clear lucidity, you can know what you need to do next to make the most of a situation. And once you know that, well, why waste a moment longer? Jyeshtha is an artha-driven nakshatra. It's meant to give proper direction, right? It's an artha-driven nakshatra, and it's associated with Indra, the king of the gods. Now, Indra was able to become the king of the gods by practicing severe austerities. And one of the things that was bestowed upon him for all the challenges that he went through was something called Sudarshana chakra, which you quite often see spinning on his finger. And what Sudarshana chakra could do is it could quite literally destroy anything. But the concept with Sudarshana chakra is that of it destroying illusion, because all those obstacles that we perceive in our path, well, that's just part of the fact that we're not clear on who we are. We're not clear on what the next step is that we should take, right, on our road to working out our karma. So Sudarshana chakra cuts through all of that confusion, and ultimately that's what it's all about. So in terms of Jyeshtha nakshatra, the ideas of self-control and the idea of self-control bringing ultimate clarity is very key to the process. I often like explaining in terms of understanding Jyeshtha nakshatra. Imagine you're kind of caught in the fray of a battlefield and things aren't really working out in your favor. Well, you can retreat from the battlefield and gain a clearer perspective from which to re-engage in whatever struggle it is that you might be dealing with. Then you can see struggle in its ultimate clarity and recognize that really that struggle is somewhat of a reflection of what's going on inside of yourself, right? The lunar tithi today is Shukla Shashti. And with Shukla Shashti, there's the potential for fulfillment, because one is feeling strong within oneself. And why are you feeling strong? Well, because of a sense of clarity. This is how the nakshatra, the tithi, and the solar lunar yoga all begin to interact with each other. Speaking of the solar lunar yoga, today the solar lunar yoga is Preeti. Preeti brings a sense of enthusiasm that once you begin to experience, it just kind of pulls you in and sweeps you along. Sometimes that sense of enthusiasm can work against you, but actually today that sense of enthusiasm serves a positive purpose and helps to keep things moving along and really holds things together in terms of the situation that you're dealing with. Well, ultimate clarity, you know, with how can it get any better, you know, where you've had a sense of darkness, confusion, misunderstanding. Well, now there's a sense of clarity, and it probably comes to you from a state of reflection. Mercury's energy is very prominent in terms of the planetary interaction with the moon today, right? Because Mercury rules Jyeshtha nakshatra, and Mercury is also associated with one of the with the solar lunar yoga, I should say. So the strength of Mercury is very vital to the day, and Mercury is very strong today, especially considering that Mercury is retrograde. So since Mercury is retrograde, it's likely to bring all of this energy in a natural manner that just comes upon reflection, or upon making your mind quiet rather than getting caught up in the fray of what you're dealing with. And in looking at Jyeshtha nakshatra, that makes perfect sense. But if you could use a little bit more help understanding how to make the most of the situation, I should mention that I do offer several different tiers of astrological service. Those can be found through my astrological services page, to which you should see a link in the bottom left-hand corner of this video. Click on that link and it'll take you to my astrological services page, where you can explore all the options that are on offer to you there. That's going to do it for your Vedic Lunar Scope for today, the 19th of September, 2015. Until next time, please take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.